Hi everyone, welcome back to the Matter of Britain page. So today we had Martin back to talk about part two of his series of presentations that he's doing. Um, so he went on today to talk about some more stuff with Thornborough Henges and his Ripon Cathedral hypothesis, which very much includes things to do with the procession of stars and alignments, more alignment work and things like that he's discovered through his past few years of research.
Yeah, it's really great to see him look at the wider area and some more sites and how that fits in with the Yorkshire star map. Some more henges, some mounds, and of course, as you say, Ripon Cathedral. Yeah, it was great, and I really hope you folks enjoy it too.
Enjoy.
And
Yes,
that's
good.
right. Okay.
Right.
Right. So this is, as it says here, part two of the Yorkshire Megalithic complex. So today we'll be talking about a place on the map and a cathedral. Maybe a bit about the Great Year. Maybe we might drop that out. But we've got some fairies and werewolves and a bloody big stone.
That's a really good start, I think.
Excellent.
So I'm talking to you from the Stage Research Unit, which is on the bed of an ancient Ice Age lake in the English Midlands. Story so far. So we talked last time about the Yorkshire Megalithic complex. And the place I started with it was the Devil's Arrows. Now, I quite like this picture, actually, because that stone that is stood next to is the smallest of the three.
Wow.
I didn't realise about the scale of them, I must admit.
And on the modern pictures, you just can't see all three in a line because the one in the far distance is in the trees, and it's impossible to see. So I quite like that. It was obviously from a railway poster in the 30s.
Yeah.
So this is the Thornborough Henges. The Thornborough Henges, they're not the biggest henges in Britain, but there's three of them very close together, and from the air they're spectacular. And I'm sure when they were built, the way from the ground, a lot of erosion's gone on since then. And that's a picture of them from the air. It's actually a picture that you don't often see, that one.
No, I've not seen that.
So, and on the right, that's the northern one, so it's south on the left.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, Marty.
Yeah,
This is something I've always wondered. I think I've probably asked you before on the Discord, but the connections between the three henges,
yeah, these
the avenues.
These lines down here.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah,
they were definitely avenues at the time of some description or other. Very difficult to see on the ground now.
But, yeah.
Something
was there.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. And also, if you visit it, there's a sort of ridge down here.
Okay.
And I think, if you remember last time, I spoke about there being a Cersus there. Well, the Cersus actually goes through here at this point.
Right.
But I was wondering if that was maybe an offshoot from it or a second one or something else.
Yeah.
But it looks the same construction. So it's earth over sort of pounded stones. The construction seems to be lots of small stones piled up with earth between and then covered over with earth.
So, and is it chalk?
No.
No, you said last week, didn't you? Well,
yeah, it's sort of largely gritstone and limestone. Not that far away, but
yeah.
I've never looked closely enough to be able to tell,
actually. No, that's fair enough. Just
yeah, the Devil's Arrows are definitely gritstone.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So just so you can picture where all this is. So we've got the Thornborough Henges at the top left, and the Devil's Arrows down there at the bottom right in red, next to a town called Boroughbridge, and there's a village on from there called Aldborough. I just want you to remember Aldborough because it appears later on.
Okay.
And I guess most people in England will have heard of Ripon, but people outside England won't have done. It's apparently, well, I'll come to it later on, but it's a very small city. Let's just say that at the moment. Can't remember the population. It's about 15,000. So when I say small, I mean small. And this line down here is currently the A1. And some of that, at least, was a Roman road, maybe pre-Roman.
Yeah, the A1 is the it's not Ermine Street, is it?
Great North Road, it was.
It's not Ermine Street, is it?
No, it was the Great North Road.
Um,
I don't think it's Ermine Street.
Ermine. What's Ermine? It's for me. But it's the north to south on the east.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I've got confused now. It's not too hard at the moment.
Presumably you're drugged up with paracetamol.
Oh yeah, I've had it all. Yeah.
Right. So we talked about the stars, and how we use a technique to map the stars to the ground, and I've given that a name, which is stage archaeology.
Right.
Stands for Stellarium and Google Earth.
Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
And we went through the process of how I identified that the monuments were reflected on the ground the stars were reflected on the ground by the monuments. And this is where they all lay in terms of their relationship to each other. The Devil's Arrows down here, it's very difficult to see the stars because all of this is very close together. So I've actually expanded the star view so they don't overlap by anywhere near what it looks like there. So you can see that the accuracy, and we talked about this last time, is I think exceptional.
Yeah.
You might argue with that. So other things we covered. So we talked about the significance of the River Ure, which I believe marks out the Milky Way in terms of the stars, in terms of the star map. We talked about the Egyptian star map, which I think that's the best example of it and the most convincing example of it.
Yeah.
You can disbelieve any of this you want, by the way. It's just some of it might be coincidence. But I don't think that is. It doesn't look like it to me.
No.
We talked about possible connections between Egypt and Yorkshire. So if you remember, the river's names start off with, but the monuments were covered in white. There were 2 or 3 other things. Can't remember without looking. And we talked about the standard model age of the site, which is about 2,800 BC. And I don't think that is very far out. And we talked about the builders of these monuments and how they mysteriously vanished. No one knows why. Sometime in the 3rd millennium. Okay. Right. So today I want to talk about why the location is as it is. So where it is on the map. And the specific layout in the map, and I've broken that down into 4 elements actually. So there's the legend of it. Does it reflect movements of the moon? Does it reflect the position of Aldebaran? which is the brightest star in Taurus. And as we saw on that map, you may not remember, but on that map, the henge that's just north of the Devil's Arrows is Aldebaran. We then go on to the Ripon Cathedral hypothesis, which is part of the location. And I didn't believe it when I first found it, but I think there's a lot of corroborating evidence for it. Then I want to talk about the location in terms of more global sense. Is it a special location for any reason? So we finished that section about location. Then we go on to wider Yorkshire area. So the look at a very brief look at the other monuments, and then I go on to Rudstone, which is quite interesting in itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Sounds great.
Okay. So we start off with, why was it built in this location? Once again, I think that's the smaller one of the stones, and you can see the bigger one very vaguely in the trees. So, as we discussed, the complex reflects the stars, and those are the specific stars. So we've got Orion's belt down here, Pleiades up here, and Aldebaran there. So, however you lay this out, you've got to have this V shape. And it has to be a precise V, so that angle has to be maintained. And the relationship of that length to that length has got to be maintained. Are you seeing the movement of my mouse, by the way?
Yes.
Yes, we can see that.
Right. So, the layout, when you see it on the map, is rather odd. I mean, those angles don't look as though they mean anything. And I don't think the Devil's Arrows were built in that particular location because they were close to a quarry, because the quarry is at Plumpton Rocks, which is over 8 miles away. So, I mean, these are pretty heavy things, 30, 40, 50 tons. Moving them, obviously possible because they're being done, but you know, the countryside is not made for moving stuff like that. It's all horrible mud and stuff like, you know. You certainly wouldn't do it in winter, that's for sure.
No.
So why is this main axis in red in that position and not north-south or aligned to the rising of the Pleiades? Because we know that the Devil's Arrows are the Pleiades, so it could align with the rise of them at a specific date in history. Now that line is 142 degrees, 141 and a bit actually. If you measure it from the central henge at Thornborough, and from there, the Pleiades never rise further south than 128 degrees. So it quite clearly isn't that. So 141 and 151. Down there it says about the 128 degrees. Orion's belt actually does achieve those angles, but it's like 5,300 BC.
Okay.
So I don't think they're that old, but with state of dating as it is, who knows?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think it's best just to, you know, get all the data and then you can go with your gut one way or another. But it's interesting to have that date, nevertheless.
Yeah. As I say, I've got a date that's down to a specific year, which I think it was designed.
Cool.
But we won't get to that today. So many people loads of people have investigated this, and I've been looking at it since I started this, and I started this in the first COVID lockdown, and I've been puzzling over it and wondering about it and all the rest of it. So possible solutions are that it's a lunar standstill marker, or it's a solstice marker. Well, quite clearly it ain't a solstice marker.
Yeah.
Have a quick look at the, well, might not be quick actually, but have a look at the moon, the lunar movements. So the movements of the moon. So there are two elements. Well, a lot of elements to it, but there's two that you notice from the ground immediately, or not immediately, but over a period of time. So, as it says, the movements are complex. Over a month, its rising point moves from a furthest north position, and day by day, that the moon will rise further and further south until it gets to a furthest south position. And it takes 14 days to do that. It then begins to move back and eventually gets back to where it set off effectively. And the set points obviously reflect that on the other side. So you can imagine it's like this. So this is a specific date, but I won't mention what it is at the moment because that's on the later slide. So this is the moonrise on the 1st of May in 2025. And you can see it's just over the horizon there. And it's 55 degrees azimuth. Right, so 14 days later, this is where it's rising.
Okay.
So you can see that it's tracked all that way. As it moves, obviously the set position moves inwards as well, and this curve drops. So the height of the moon drops. Right. Right, now the complexity comes from, there is then an 18.6 year cycle. So we've seen that it starts at a northern point, and then each month it sort of travels across the horizon. But that northern point, if it is the northernmost point of it, the next month it will be slightly further south. So it's beginning to close in on the horizon, if you imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a picture which will show you, so don't worry imagining if you can't imagine. So as it says, the set point moves in, and they move towards each other. And once again, the moon's altitude in the sky, maximum altitude, moves down.
Can I, just so this is from purely for me, is this like scaling down what the sun does over the course of the year from rising?
Yes,
Okay.
So so on the summer solstice, it's highest in the sky.
Yeah.
And at the winter solstice, it's lowest, and the rise and set points are the narrowest together.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So here, this is 5 years later. So it was 2025 before, if you remember. This is 2029, also in May, and it's now that's this line here is where it did rise. This is where it's rising now. So each month it's moved slightly further towards the south, and likewise the set position has moved slightly further towards the north.
Cool. I think I know why you've picked these years now. I think I know why you've picked
Go on then, tell me.
Is it because we're just about to enter a maximum?
Yes.
Period.
The next lunar maximum is 2025.
Okay. Am I right that it's so sort of over the course of a few years? They don't necessarily say 1 year is the maximum?
Well, the thing about the maximum, it's called a lunar standstill. And the movement, it's very similar to the sun, actually. The movement is very slow as it changes. So it appears that over a period, it's not moving very much.
Okay.
and it moves faster and faster as it gets into the middle.
Right. So
So
just like at the solstice,
Yeah,
there's a couple of days either side where it's
that's
pretty
right, when
much the
it's the
same
same.
length. Yeah. Okay.
But at
Right.
the
Yeah.
equinox, it's sort of tracking across the horizon very quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Right. So after 9.3 years, the moon gets to the northernmost point, the northernmost rise point has moved further and further south, and it gets to its furthest south position. And likewise, the southernmost set point has moved further and further north, and it gets to its northernmost position. And at that point, the moon is at the lowest point in the sky that it can ever be.
Okay.
Once it gets to that position, it starts tracking north again. So, as we've just said, these points where it changes are called standstills. So the widest ones are called major lunar standstills. That's the furthest north and the furthest south one. And the narrowest ones are called minor lunar standstills. So if you think about this, you've got a good way of tracking the year in some respects by the movement of the sun along the horizon. But how do you count years after that? And the thought here is that the ancients used the movements of the moon to track the years. So you've got here, it's 18.6 years, you can see. In the 18.6 year cycle before the current one, that was when Fred had that battle and won.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the theory. I don't know whether that's true or not. So this is the minor lunar standstill. So we've got another 5 years forwards, and that's as far as it's got. So it's moved from this line to this line, and likewise the southernmost point has moved from that line to that line.
Okay.
And that's it rising at the furthest south point. So there's some other cycles. The nodal cycle, I think, is the most interesting. So the orbits, as seen from the Earth, of the Moon and the Sun are not in the same plane, and there's twice a year that the planes of the orbits cross each other like that. And they're called nodes, and they're quite significant actually, because that's the only time when you can have an eclipse. Don't have it every time, but it's the only time you can. And then there's a few others down there which you might be interested in, but you probably not.
Maybe another day.
Yes. So the thought was that this line down here reflected a lunar standstill, and I mentioned that in a couple of slides. But I just thought you needed to know, or people, I mean, you might know what it was anyway, but other people.
So you say it's been thought. Other theorists have come up with this.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know what that line is at the moment. I'm not picking up the very top of the screen, by the way, because I'm getting this this menu. But the simplest thought of how that map occurs laid on the ground is to copy the sky to the ground. Now, as far as I know, no one's ever thought of this before, because no one in the past has known that the Devil's Arrows of the Pleiades or Canavan Henge is Aldebaran. So why would the one lay it on the ground? So that's what I've just said. So this is the standard model date of the build. And this is when the Pleiades reaches its culminating point in the sky, which is the highest point it reaches. And that's always due south, by the way. But you can see that the angle is 144 and nearly half degrees. So it's not quite right. It's not far out. So it's possible that they did reflect it and they didn't quite get it right. I'm not convinced, but that angle, by the way, does change over years because of precession. So the Orion's belt will move. It's further out from the pole, so it'll move at a faster rate than the Pleiades. So the angle will change.
Okay.
So as I said, we have an approximation to the angle, and I have no idea how they would have measured this. I had enough trouble measuring this.
We're using a computer.
Yes.
So how different is that angle? That's a 144. Was it 141?
So we're looking for 141 degrees. So it's 3.5 degrees in.
Which isn't
bad. Now remember this because I think that they designed it for other reasons, but they knew that it was almost right. This. I can remember I was
not the primary thing they were aiming for.
Yeah.
But it was close enough, so that's great. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So I was watching one of the vids you did earlier in the week when you were talking about the synchronicity of various things coming together, and I think we're seeing quite a lot of that in today's session. So, I mean, it might be good enough, it might not be. So there is a legend of why it's built there. So I mentioned Aldborough before, and I said remember the name. So it's actually the other side of Borough Bridge and the Devil's Arrows. Now the legend is that the devil threw stones from the top of How Hill, and he was throwing them at Borough Bridge. So there's a little couplet down there. Borough Bridge, keep out to way. For Aldborough town, I will ding down.
I will ding down like that.
I'm sure that somebody who's got a proper Yorkshire accent can say that better. But that's not there because it's an interesting legend. That's there because there might be something in it.
Okay.
So, is it a legend or a distant memory? Well, the line from How Hill to Aldborough passes directly through the middle of the Devil's Arrows. Now that line is 43,200 feet long. Might not mean anything to you. 86,400 seconds in a day. It's a precessional number, so it's 72 by 600. Multiply the height of the Great Pyramid by 43,200 and you get the polar radius of the Earth.
That's where I know it from.
All right. Fantastic.
So, is it coincidence? Did they use feet even?
Well, my opinion is that I think that all of the systems of measurement that we use on a daily basis, the ones that are well established, have been around for thousands of years, and they're all interconnected.
Yes, I think that as well, and I wouldn't have done a few years ago, but I certainly do now. But let's just continue with this thought. So, if I take a line from the northern henge, at Thornborough, it gives me an almost exact right angle to the line to Aldborough. So that's the line to Aldborough.
Yeah.
That's the line to the northern henge. It's 42,533 feet.
Isn't it?
552.
Yeah.
Now, if I take that line and let it overshoot How Hill, and make it 43,200 long, and then draw a right angle to that, it takes me directly to Aldborough. So I finish up with a right angle that looks like that.
Yeah.
So is there any significance in that? I don't know. I mean, the original line, I should have shown the original line on here actually, but it's like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's sorry, How Hill's your bottom left marker, and you've got almost equal lengths.
Yes.
Yeah, on your
Yeah, they are equal lengths, those two lines.
Great, fantastic. Cool.
Just, I mean, I'm sure you'll remember that, but do
Yeah.
it. So. Right, so let's just look at the lunar alignment theory. So we consider an object is risen when it breaks the horizon, but the ancients, and I think this is more sensible actually, considered it risen when it was above the horizon, visibly above the horizon. And that normally means about a degree above, because with all the haze and everything, you can't see it. So with the moon, then, we're talking about probably about 1.5 degrees above the horizon. So if I have a line from Thornborough to the Devil's Arrows, it's 140, actually, it's 141 degrees, which makes this even worse. But you can see here the moon rising, and it's actually at 149.32. So it's not a lunar alignment from the Devil's Arrows.
Okay.
So it doesn't reflect it.
Right.
But if I take the reverse of that and look at the line from the Devil's Arrows to Thornborough, it's 321.3 degrees. So if I look at the high point, if I draw a line or look at the altitude of the line from the Devil's Arrows, there's a high point on it, and that is about half a degree in altitude from the Devil's Arrows. So the moon would be at needs to be at about 1.14 degrees, and you can see here it's the altitude. This is at 321.3, and it's at the right altitude. So it could be right, this. So looking down from the Devil's Arrows, on a major lunar standstill, I would probably see the moon setting over the hill that is in the near ground.
Right. In the direction of the henges.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But these are my views on it. Why do you align it with a set point and not the rise point? Wouldn't the rise point be more important? Right? The Devil's Arrows don't appear to have any astronomical markers, and mention this in a later on, but they don't appear to. So why have one for the moon? And the most important one, I think, is that the way the henges are laid out is that they mark both the set and rise points at the major lunar standstill. So if you've already got it marked in the henges, why have it in that line? So I don't think that line represents it. Now this one actually is a bit more interesting than the moon. So we know that Canterburn henge represents Aldebaran, and that alignment down to the Devil's Arrows is 151 degrees. Aldebaran's furthest rise is at 151 degrees. So just have a look at this. This is the rise angle of Aldebaran over time. So this is caused by
Precession?
Precession, yes. So you imagine that the whole sky is moving around. It's not just those stars at the nose.
Mm.
The whole sky moves around.
Yeah.
So the rise point of any given star moves in some sort of pattern like this. You can also see in here that we're not just picking up precession because the maximum's there.
Yeah.
We're also picking up the ellipse changes. So we're moving along an elliptical path. Start again. The sun is moving along an elliptical path effectively, and no, got it wrong again. Sorry about this.
That's all right. No worries.
The Earth's orbit round the sun
Mm-hmm.
is an ellipse. That ellipse contracts and expands.
Right. Okay.
And that is what we're seeing here.
Right. So mix a blend of the two things then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you draw a line up from 9,600, you get to the maximum point up there.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows you it actually happening. So we're 1 degree above and it's 151 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And the date is 9,800. And that is a standstill point. So it's from about 9,600 to about 9,800 BC.
Okay.
Right. Is there any significance in those dates? Well, that's the termination of the last ice age, really, the end of the Younger Dryas. And that was a catastrophic climate change at that point. And it's also Plato's date for the end of Atlantis. So could that be built into this design? Seems, well, I don't know. Plato knew about the date.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Plato came after these people.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I keep interrupting. Can we just pop back a couple of slides, or just maybe the last slide, if possible? So my other thinking about this with the lunar sandsill and Thornborough. So you were saying that you reckon just from, if you are in Thornborough, just from the Thornborough henges alone, you can mark these movements of the moon.
I've got this on a later slide. Actually.
Yes, yeah. I just wanted to make understanding you correctly.
You can stand in the centre of the centre henge and look through the southern entrance. That will enable you to look through the entire southern henge because the entrances all line up.
Yeah. And
that points directly to the major lunar standstill rise.
Yeah.
And likewise, if you, at the end of that day, if you turn round and look the other way, you will see the set. Great.
I just wanted to understand that properly. And I think what you were saying about looking from Thornborough to the Devil's Arrows, or the Devil's Arrows back, Thornborough itself seems much more a sky viewing place than the Devil's Arrows do, if that makes sense.
I've got later on a reasonably long section on it's not today actually on alignments, and a couple of things stand out, and that is that neither of the locations with stones, so that's the Devil's Arrows and Rudstone, have any local alignments that I can see, and by that I mean a line that reflects some sort of happening in the sky, a solstice, a major lunar standstill, and you can pick out places on the horizon that would clearly show where that point was, whereas Thornborough has loads of them.
Loads of them, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the obvious exception to loads of them actually at Thornborough is that it doesn't have an equinox marker.
Okay.
Has solstice markers, but it doesn't have an equinox marker. Now, I think that's maybe because there's some significance, and we haven't seen it yet, but there's some significance with the equinox at the Devil's Arrows.
Cool. Sorry to take you back there.
No.
Just wanted to make sure I got it in my head right.
So where have we got to?
Yeah.
So if we don't want to cover a procession, I'll skip over that.
I'm going to hope that a lot of our viewers understand procession. If not, just remember it's pre-session if you're having a Google, not pro-session. Yeah. I don't know. What do you reckon, Adam?
I reckon go for it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I reckon go for it.
I think it's an interesting topic anyway. So
absolutely, yeah.
This first slide, I think everyone knows about. So you know that the Earth rotates about its axis, but the axis also rotates itself, and that rotation period is pretty long. So it says here 25,800 years. That's our best estimate. And it's been estimated differently by different people over time. There's some thought actually that it's changing, that the length of period is changing. And I think I mentioned later on that, yes, I do. So I won't mention it now. So that axis is rotating. It takes about a human lifetime for that rotation to move 1 degree, and you will see it moving. At the moment, well, you won't see it moving because you don't live long enough. If you live long enough, you would see it moving because at the moment our pole star is Polaris. Well, in I don't know, 500 years or so, it will noticeably not be Polaris. So the place at the pole will be vacant. Most of the time, there's no pole star. Interestingly, at the time these were built, there was a pole star. So,
yeah,
if there's any significance in that, I have no idea whatsoever. On top of that, there is a rock, as you know, on the axis that goes from 22.5 degrees to 24.5. That takes 40,000 years, and that change on the shape of the ellipse of the orbit takes 100,000 years. And it's thought to be the reason behind the 100,000 year cycle of ice ages. So, but no one really knows. So this is the path of the axis over the years. So we are up here. Okay. No, sorry, we're up here. That's 0. We're at 2000, obviously. When these monuments were built, it was about 3000 BC, and Thurbon was the pole star. And you can see that there are big gaps around here, but there are notable places where there are pole stars.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows that. The effect of the rotation is what I was saying before. It's not just the axis that moves; it's the whole of the sky is moving round. So the stars closest to the pole, and they'll be seen to rotate around the pole. So they're called circumpolar, literally going round the pole. Stars lower in the sky, though, I'll have their rise position, as we showed before, moving along the horizon until from one side of the rotation to the other side, and then once it gets past that point, it'll come back round again. Some stars, because of this and the tilt, will be low enough in the sky so they'll never rise, and Sirius goes through that.
Okay. Right.
So as the sky turns, so do the constellations. So at the moment we're in Pisces, well known, we're about to go into Aquarius. Somebody's even written a song about it. And it says there that the period is 25,920 years, so that, yeah, another different number, but roundabout right. The movement across the sky in a year is less than it's less. The Earth moves less than the sky in a full year.
Right. Okay.
Is why this occurs.
Right.
Right. I should have polished up on this bit before. So, so every year you're further into the next star sign.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we're about to trip over into Pisces. It's the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, when it's when people consider that it's the star sign is the rising sign, and it's typically thought to be 21,500 years for each star sign, but they do vary because the sizes vary.
And this is why somebody wrote a song in the 60s.
Yes, that's right.
But you will still get people today saying that we still haven't entered the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, we haven't.
Yeah, so it's a very slow process.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as I say, it's 1 degree every 72 years. So since the 60s, it's changed a degree.
Degree.
Yeah.
1 degree. Yeah.
Because I thought we entered in 2021. But I had so many people come at me with different ideas about when that.
Yeah, everyone's got a different view of this.
Yeah.
All those constellations are on the ecliptic, which is the path of the sun. And if you remember, we talked about the Golden Gateway of the ecliptic last time, which is between the Hyades and the Pleiades. If you remember. The megalithic monuments were all built in the age of Taurus, which is interesting because we're talking about the Pleiades are in Taurus.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the effect it has on the rise and set of the stars. Sorry, not the set, the rise of the stars. But you can see that I've marked the Pleiades in green, Aldebaran in red, and Sirius in blue, and you can see that these points up here are where Sirius never rises, and this is from the Devil's Arrows. This also occurs from Giza. I'm not sure. I seem to remember that it's about 8,000 BC when Sirius becomes visible again from Giza, I think, from memory.
Okay.
A Yuga cycle lasts, so this is back to that number that we mentioned. Yeah, a long time, 4 million years. Adam to the flood was 6,400 weeks. Noah was 600 years when the flood came, and 600 times 72 is 43,200. 72 is the number of hidden names of God in Judaism. Babylonia was ruled by 10 kings for 432,000 years before the flood.
Oh, yeah.
On the day of Ragnarok, this sounds awful. 800 warriors will come out of 540 doors to fight alongside Odin. 800 times 540 is 43,200. And I just picked all those up from on Google. I mean, there's loads on the internet if you want to look.
So I think me and Adam obviously talk about historical Arthur over other ideas, but when you look at like celestial Arthur ideas, the idea of a once and future king, I think, is to do with the rising of Ursa Major in the sky, being the bear, the ark.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think so. I think that's a processional. There's a processional idea brought in there,
Yeah,
which
wouldn't
is
surprise,
interesting.
wouldn't
Absolutely.
surprise me at all. So
Arthur, I think translates as the Bear King or something like that as
That's
well.
right. Yeah.
one wonders whether it's about a constellation that is not visible at times.
Indeed.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting point. That is.
Right. So other factors then. So we've seen the arrangement is not solstice related. And I just skimmed over that, but this line is 142 degrees. From Thornborough, the solstice from memory is 149 degrees. So it's not going to pick it out in any way. Is that right, though? If I split the Devil's Arrows to Thornborough line in half, I get this. So I've got a red half and a blue half.
Okay.
Right. If I then take a right angle to that line, that particular second red line points to the summer solstice sunrise.
Huh. Okay.
Now, I'd been working on this for 3.5 years before I found this.
Wow.
So it's not very surprising. No one has ever spotted it.
Yeah.
Well done.
So that's it drawn out. Now, I thought that was bloody interesting.
Yeah.
But I couldn't make out what it signified whatsoever. So why would a right angle to that line point to the summer solstice? Now, there must be something else behind it, and there is. So can we take a quick break there?
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
Absolutely.
I'll just do a pause.
Strange how we're recording, yeah. One of the strange things about my experience on this is that, as I say, I've been doing this for coming up to 4 years, on and off, and a lot of off, actually, and there's various reasons for that. You get to the stage where you're fed up of the damn thing.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
And it's not just a normal fed. It seems more, you think, well, this can't be right. It must be a load of rubbish.
I quite understand. Yeah.
But over time, you can't put it down. You've got to come back to it, have another look. So it takes, and you do have to kiss an awful lot of frogs to find a prince. I mean, it's. So I've looked at all sorts of things, and obviously what you're seeing is only the ones that are relevant. And there is some relevance in the moon rising, and there is some relevance in the Great Year. So, but this takes us to the Ripon Cathedral hypothesis, as I call it. So that's Ripon Cathedral. Pretty impressive building if you look at it. So a cathedra literally means seat. So it's the seat of a bishop is a cathedral. In England, there are 26 medieval cathedrals. Ripon was founded in the 660s. It's got an Anglo-Saxon crypt, which is the oldest structure of any cathedral in Britain. Current building was started in 1160. It was a minster until 1836. Up until 1836, York had the bishop, and he moved up to Ripon. Maybe it's a nicer place, I don't know. So it's the oldest city in England is Ripon, and one of the smallest, as I said before. And that, I mean, if you've ever been in an English cathedral, it looks just like that. It's absolutely massive and so impressive, you know. And you two will have been in cathedrals, but there'll be people who see this who just don't know what they are.
Can I just also add quickly? I seem to remember when you first looked at this, Marty. I had a quick delve. Was it not? Am I right in saying a Saxon lord got in a local Brythonic priest? There was something like there was a joint Saxon and Brythonic founding of the original church, and then within a very short succession, they were then rebuilding a Saxon church on the spot, or something.
Yes,
like
I think there was something like that. I think.
Yeah, but I think
I
it was.
didn't make a note of it, but if you can dig it out, that'd be good.
No, I think it was just available on the Wikipedia, so I should be.
Right.
But just an interesting note for people who are into that sort of thing on our page.
Yeah, nice.
Another picture from the inside, so you can see stained glass windows that they're very proud of, by the way.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Wow.
Oh wow, yeah.
So pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah.
So this is the 7th century crypt in the bottom there. So I think that's underneath the building now. So you go down some stairs. They've got pieces of something called the Sigrid stone, and it commemorates an ancient dragon slayer. And there's apparently, I didn't know, but there's quite a famous legend about Sigrid, and he did all sorts of things. The first thing he ever did was kill this dragon. And there was and the dragon had a pile of gold, and there were him and I think it was his sword maker who were interested in killing the dragon. So the sword maker made the sword, and Sigrid went and killed it. And then the sword maker was going to kill Sigrid to get the gold, but Sigrid beat him to it.
All right.
And if you know classical music, Sigrid is in Wagner.
Die Nibelungen.
There you go. Lewis Carroll's father was a canon there, and this is a misericorde, if that's how you pronounce it. So it's a griffin clutching a rabbit as it tries to escape down a hole, and and apparently that was the inspiration for Alice. Now these things are on. So they have these like pop-up seats, and they're on the underneath of the pop-up seats. So when it's put away, you can see these wonderful bits of art, really. Aren't they?
That's such a nice attention to detail.
Yeah. And there's a lot of seats, 30 of them, I think, and each one has something different underneath it.
Nice.
Right, so let's get back to what we're really talking about. Now, interestingly, the building is not east-west. It's about 3 degrees out, as you can see here. I've drawn a line along the roof, and it's 87 and a bit degrees. If you're ever arguing with people who are talking about pole locations and how all the buildings are aligned to the poles, well, they're not. Just have a look at cathedrals. Hardly any of them are aligned northwest, east, no, east-west, north-south. Right, so if I extend my solstice line back in the opposite direction, so the green line was my solstice line, coming from the split line that goes from Thornborough to the Devil's Arrows, I get that red line, and it runs through the grounds of Ripon Cathedral.
Oh, well.
100 feet from the centre. Now, if I correct the line slightly, and it probably still hit it even if I don't correct it actually, and run it back the other way, it hits a mound, an ancient mound called Pudding Pie Hill. So Pudding Pie Hill is an earth mound. It's been identified as a round barrow, that's it, and you can see it on this LiDAR down here. So it dates classically between 2400 and 1500 BC, so it's roughly in the right area, and they might be totally wrong about that date. When they're excavating it in the 19th century, they found what was said to be a giant, a large warrior, but that was dated to the 6th century AD, so it wasn't one of the classically old Yorkshire giants. Yorkshire's had a number of giants in legend, by the way. So if you're interested in Yorkshire legends, Shannon did an episode for the Snake Brothers. It's episode 209. So
yes, really good.
And really anyone good. Interested, have a listen to that.
Yeah, really good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Can I just say, this sort of mound is exactly the sort of thing that Ross and Steve Willets were looking for the Southeast Wales star maps, because it's seems to be regionally, it seems to be different how you mark your star maps essentially, and that sort of thing was bang on what most of the Southeast Wales ones were represented by. And just like your star map, if they're out, they're only out by point of a degree, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they're not basically.
No. Yeah.
I certainly couldn't make accuracy like
No.
this.
No. I don't suppose you could find an older name for Pudding Pie Hill, could you?
No, I couldn't actually.
No.
But the legends say it was raised by the fairies, so that probably means it's pretty old.
Yeah.
The fairies were positively so good as to furnish pies and puddings to their juvenile votaries, which is why it's called Pudding Pie Hill.
Oh, great.
If any person runs round it 9 times and then listens, you can hear the fairies conversing inside.
Nice.
I mean, to be fair, I've not spent a lot of time looking at Pudding Pie Hill. In fact, I think it was only yesterday when I thought maybe a picture of it might be nice, and then I discovered a bit more about it.
No, I'm glad you did. That was great.
Yeah.
So, if I look from the cathedral, the summer solstice sunrise rises at exactly the high point on this line from Thornborough to the Devil's Arrows. It's dead on the high point, as seen from Ripon Cathedral, and the sun would stand just about 1 degree above the hilltop.
Oh,
but
wow.
If I look from Pudding Pie Hill, it's the same high point again, obviously, but that picks out the minor lunar standstill, and at that point the moon will be about 1.5 degrees above the high point. So that particular line represents 2 astronomical markers. Now, also the site of the cathedral is exactly 3,000 meters from the main line.
Okay. So that's your left hand of your red lines there.
That's the left hand of the red, yeah. Right. So we've got a few things going on there, but there's a few more. So I don't know whether you believe this or not yet, but let's look at more of these. If I extend that line down to the southwest, that's the line that runs from the centre line down to Ripon Cathedral, it hits a stone on the moors called Harwith Moor Standing Stone. Now that stone is similar to the Devil's Arrows in the way it looks, but it's smaller. So here, that's the Southern Devil's Arrows, which you've seen already. And looks much smaller there, by the way, than the one we saw. That's Harwith Moor Standing Stone. So you can see the grooves in it. shape is slightly different, obviously, but it's rumoured, there is a tale that southern stone has had the top broken off anyway. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. This is where it is in this bottom left-hand picture. See, it's an interesting shape. Immediately put me in mind of a Cersus or Cursus, or however you pronounce it. And that's where the line finishes, and there's the stone. Right.
It's definitely interesting where certain fields, where they've chosen the location for field boundaries, when you get these weird odd-shaped bits of land.
Yeah, that's right.
It means something's there. It might not necessarily be ancient, but something is there, which is why they've chose to enclose the fields as they are. So
yeah. So the owners of the field at one time, I don't know whether it's the most recent ones, when the fields were tilled, we found that all of them were easy to turn over, except the one with the stone in it. There's virtually no soil depth, no soil of any depth to write over.
Oh, right.
So there's something going on there. Don't know what it is. Pudding Pie Hill is 41,754 feet from the main axis. The diameter of the Earth at 54 degrees is 41,760,000 feet. So Pudding Pie Hill is 1,000th of the Earth's diameter from the axis line. That works in any unit of measure.
Freaking hell.
Wow.
So I think somebody meant that.
Yeah.
Right, so if I now draw a line from Haworth Moor to the Devil's Arrows and to Thornborough Central, I get those two blue lines. Their lengths are 59,900 feet, roughly. So they're reasonably accurate, although with that layout, you would expect them to be similar in length. But remember the 59,900. If I repeat that from Pudding Pie Hill, I get 49,800 and 50,000. Now, to me, that looks once again as though there's something going on there. We've got a 50,000 and a 60,000. So could it be that they were laid out to be 50,000 and 60,000 long? Now, I've done the ones to the Devil's Arrows to where I think the centre is, which is the centre stone, actually. Well, we know that stones are missing, so we don't know where the centre is really. So it could vary a little bit. So we've seen that line is 95,025 feet long. The distance from Pudding Pie Hill to the cathedral is 51,618. If I divide 95,000 by 51,000, I get 18.5. A lunar cycle is 18.6 years.
Yeah.
Could all be coincidence, but who knows? I don't hold out much hope for this one, but you never know. So if I take the half line of Haworth Moor to Pudding Pie Hill, I get that point which says midpoint in a little town called Sharrow. Now, if I look around there, Sharrow Cross is 500 feet from the midpoint. That's Sharrow Cross as it is now. It's supposedly a 13th century cross. And don't know whether you know about the theory of sanctuary or not, but if you got within a certain area of the cathedral, you could claim sanctuary, and they had markers around it, so you knew when you were within there. And it was, excuse me for keeping coughing, but
that's right. No.
And it was a sanctuary marker.
Right.
Is it older? Does it mark the half point of the line?
Can we go back a second? It's one thing I'd have a look at the LiDAR at that. So where your blue and your red
Yeah,
line
that
cross.
circular thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That looks interesting. That's
I've
very
looked at
compelling.
I've
Yeah.
looked at the LiDAR for that. Do you remember
Yeah.
me telling you about the 3 o'clock voices?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, before I discovered all this Ripon stuff, I had this nagging for week after week, actually, because I ignored it.
Never ignore them. Never ignore them.
Saying, look to the east of where you are, effectively.
All right.
And the impression I was getting was that it was somewhere to the east and slightly to the south of Thornborough. And I looked and I couldn't really find anything. I did find Pudding Pie Hill, and there's an earth maze a bit further south as well. But I couldn't tie them in. There was no way that I could do that at all. And eventually it dropped out as this. But I also got a nag saying, look at this area down where this midpoint is. So I don't know whether there is something there. I have looked at LiDAR.
I was looking at that, and it looks like a hill fort enclosure.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Because even in the cloud, yeah, you can still see the continuation of it. Yeah,
yeah.
That's interesting. And even just the circling the fields in the middle of the two fields, is circle of trees is an odd thing, you know.
Yeah. So there might be something going on there, but I don't know. And I keep going back to it because I've got this nag. But you know, the definition that we've got on the LiDAR at the moment doesn't really tell you much.
No, unfortunately.
I did get something interesting. Where was it? A bit further up in Sharrow. Somewhere around here, there's a little wood with an octagonal building in it, which you can't see from the map. But,
no.
Yeah, but it was in some big house's garden, so it might just be a summer house or something like that.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Right. Remember How Hill? We've talked about How Hill. So if you remember, we drew this line that was 43,200 feet long from the northern hedge, and it aimed towards How Hill, but overshoots the top a little. Yeah. And that was the line that went to Albury at right angles to it, also 43,200. Now, if I draw that red line from Ripon to How Hill, it has an angle of 224 degrees. Right? The winter solstice sunset is at 25.5 degrees. So that's the blue line there. And if we work on that sunset on the solstice, we see that the sun sets right in this the right angle of this triangle that the blue line goes to. So that would be the sun setting. The vertical scale is exaggerated, but you can see it's set. So that where the sun sets there is right on that that line, and that is right in that right angle.
Now, the general topography of the area is fairly low-lying, isn't it? Is that right?
No, it comes up onto the moors.
Right, you are getting a bit higher.
And there is a valley down. So there's a valley down here, and then you begin to come up into the hills here.
Right. Okay.
It drops down over here. So this is the plain of Mowbray, I think it's called. And then eventually you get up to the Yorkshire moors on this side.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
right.
The Pennines on this side. So you're effectively on the edge of the Pennines there.
Great. Thank you.
So still not sure. Remember that Ripon Cathedral was 3 degrees off east-west. So at 54 degrees, you are almost at a right angle between the solstice rises and sets. So we have this. So if I take, that's the tower of Ripon Cathedral. If I draw a line down the tower there, I get the winter solstice sunrise. If I draw a line up there, I get the summer solstice sunrise, and likewise the sets the other way. Now, why would a Christian church do that?
So are you saying that its east-west alignment is off in order to make its solstice alignment more accurate?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's very cool. Nice.
Looking puzzled, Adam.
No, I like what you said about why would a Christian church do that?
It must be deliberate. Can't be anything
else. Oh
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that angle in 90, it's actually 88. You've got to go all the way up to Edinburgh to get it to 90, but it's near enough that you wouldn't notice it if you were stood on the top of that tower. You just wouldn't notice it. You'd see the sun coming up along that green line. And is there any evidence that Ripon was ever a significant place before this? So I pulled this from the internet, obviously, but it's from a book that was written in 1851. So we've far more direct and conclusive evidence that the immediate vicinity of Ripon was regarded with particular interest and veneration. So this goes back as far as the Celts. So what I'm saying is it was something of that nature going back to at least 3000 BC. And that's why I wanted to talk to your Ripon guy.
Yes, yeah. I'd love to know where
if he's watching this, if he can get in touch, I'd much appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. We'll see if we can help with that as well.
Yeah. So we've got various solutions as to the layout of this line. So I remember we were looking at that line from the Devil's Arrows to Thornborough. So a major northern moonset marker. Is it just drawn out from the sky? A line to the southern standstill of Aldebaran or Ripon Cathedral? So I don't know which you prefer among those.
All of the above.
You can have a mixture.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that solstice sunrise line will probably predate the building of the henges and the stoves.
Yeah.
And that seems to be confirmed by the legend of How Hill, actually. So How Hill was there, had some relationship to the Ripon site. And it also had significance because of the solstice marker.
Do you think How Hill could be the place where the map was laid out from? It's like we're going to start here, and then we're going to. I suppose you had the placement of the river as well, which is not something you can really change.
No.
It's just the way How Hill just seemed, and also because of the legend of throwing from How Hill.
Yeah, that's right.
There's something like almost as if this is where you did like a.
Maybe it's if you go back to Druids and pre-Druids and all that sort of thing, maybe it was the seat of their learning or something like that. It's where they would meet to discuss whatever they discussed,
Yeah.
So it does seem to have some fair significance, I think.
Yeah.
So I think the cathedral was built on a very ancient site. The earliest known church, by the way, was on the site was built before the earliest. Sorry, the earliest church was built on an existing religious building of some type, which is probably what you're referring to, Peter.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. We also know that many religious sites reuse, and we will come on to talk about Rudstone shortly. But there's a church right next to the stone, and that's known to be built on an ancient religious site. So when the stars gave a cross over the solstice line, which wouldn't happen every day, you know, as I said, the stars are slowly moving. At some point, they cross that line. Maybe the symbolism was too great to avoid building the thing. So we've got a copy of the sky. We've got the solstice line. We've got the site of the cathedral, and they all seem to fit together. So I think it's likely that the ancients did know about they must have known the solstice line, the major lunar standstill, and maybe they knew about Aldebaran. I mean, it's quite a long take, but as I said, Plato knew about it. So again, we're looking at a very ancient site. So that's the Ripon hypothesis.
No,
I think it's pretty good actually. But
I do.
Fantastic.
I'm going to stretch your push you here a bit. So I know that Orion is really one of these sort of outer constellations. If you think about the inner ring, which has got like Polaris on it, for instance, and Ursa Major, and then Orion is on a further outer section which dips in and out of the horizon. Do you think that Ripon or How Hill moving that way can show some other points on a star map, possibly? I mean, I don't understand which way we should look from your lines to look for further stars, because my brain hasn't quite got that. But
I was going to start looking at that, and about 2 weeks ago, but I've been involved in other stuff, and you know.
Absolutely. It was just. It only came to mind because I saw about Hugh Evans when he first found his original star map. He thought, well, I'm not going to find any of the southern constellations because of the age of it. And then when I started looking for it, surprise, surprise, they will start cropping up around the edges, exactly where you start to think they may be. And I just thought that, you know, you have like a little slice of a map here.
Yeah.
There could be so much more, like not even getting into the southern constellations, just sticking with northern ones. You know, there could be so much more in the area. But I mean, it depends how much still remains as the other.
I mean, as I say, you've got to kiss a lot of frogs, and
absolutely.
It is hard work looking.
Well,
me and Adam were talking earlier about how it's better to entertain the ideas at least in order to test them, and before without just you know, saying it's not possible straight off, and then you're never going to find it, are you? So
no, that's true. I've still got a little nag about somewhere in South Yorkshire.
Okay. Okay. Is that it? Is that what you're going to say?
It's a nag, so I've not found anything yet.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Right. So, is there any significance in this particular location? So, 54 degrees north, and that shows you it from the North Pole. I've shown it from the North Pole for a reason. So in terms of distances, the distance from the North Pole to the Devil's Arrows is 10% of the Earth's circumference. Almost exactly.
Wow.
We've already seen this one today. Pie Hill being 1/10,000th. So I think they knew the diameter of the Earth. Actually, that's wrong, isn't it? It's 1/10,000th of the Earth's circumference, but the central henge to the northern one is 24,800 feet. Circumference of the Earth is 24,883 miles. And the central henge to the southern one is 2,400 feet, and they're 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Whether that's of any significance whatsoever, who knows? Devil's Arrows are almost exactly 54 degrees north. Now, 54 degrees just sounds a number, doesn't it? But it's actually, if you work it out, it's 60% of the way from the equator to the pole. And that makes it 15% of 360 degrees as well. So it's a significant number.
Yeah. Doesn't Giza and Karnak and Stonehenge also have these almost exact
Giza certainly
fractions
does.
of the
Yeah, I couldn't find it for Stonehenge or Karnak, but maybe I didn't look hard enough.
Well, I think that the Stonehenge one I only heard recently through that Howard Crowhurst, and he was saying that it's that the number is like it's the perfect ratio between feet and meters. So it's the Stonehenge, where Stonehenge is on the earth, expresses the ratio between feet and meters.
Wow.
Which does not seem like a coincidence either. But yeah, so I'm really not surprised that these are marked in a similar way as well. I mean,
I think this is significant as well. So from the latitude, from 54 degrees, the winter solstice sunrise is 45 degrees from due south, so 135 degrees, and that shows it actually rising. And the major lunar standstill is 30 degrees from due south. So any other latitude, those angles would obviously vary, and they wouldn't have significance in terms of numbers. 30
sorry,
degrees.
can we pause a minute?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So between these significant celestial events and the angles, we have significant numbers. And as I say, if you go further north or further south, you lose that significance. So it's the only place, the only latitude in the Northern Hemisphere where you would have this relationship where you could draw a line and look one way along it to see the solstice sunrise and the other way along it to see the lunar standstill. We know that Canabarn is significant because it's Aldebaran, and that aligns to the southern standstill of Aldebaran, and it's the only latitude where if you align the whole thing to the summer solstice from Ripon Cathedral, that would happen. So if they knew about the end of the Younger Dryas, and if they wanted to commemorate it, they came to Yorkshire specifically because they knew that it had significance at that position. So the location of the monuments has been carefully planned, and it uses advanced astronomy and cartography. It's my opinion. Right, so how are we doing for times? How long have you got?
I'm fine.
About another half hour here.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So we've talked quite a lot about this core complex here. So we've got the henges and the stones there. In addition to this, the central complex, there's another 9 henges and a big stone. The big stone is at Rudstone, and there's also a hill, which is Claro Hill, which has never been considered to be an ancient monument, by the way. but I think I can't actually prove it, but I think I can show that it is part of the complex. So if we just quickly whiz through these, so at or near Rudstone we have a henge called, these are all henges, by the way, Maiden's Grave, which I think is a great name. Romantic. Paddock Hill. Those are pretty much on the same line of latitude, longitude, latitude. There's a henge at Catterick, and I've had trouble fitting Catterick into the design. There's one at Cinderby, which, if you're looking for a wider Orion map, would be certainly should be considered, but it doesn't seem that accurate, so I discounted it. There's something at a place called Tenlands, which is very close to Canavan, and they think it was a henge, but it's sort of a not even a crop circle now, just a few remains. I think we can link that in to an alignment that runs from Tenlands through Paddock Hill to Maiden's Grave. It's absolutely an exact line. If we could then go across, so remember I was saying about the moors, so you can see the moors starting down here. So Ripon is about there. So we're right in the middle of the moors at Castle Dykes, and another one at Yarnbury. Got something to say about Yarnbury. One there, and the final one at Ferrybridge. So that's the whole complex. So there's a fair bit of work gone into all of that. Obviously, these megalithic people had too much time on their hands. So let's just talk about Claro Hill. I first found Claro Hill and somebody remarking on it when they were talking about ancient maps, and my attention to it was drawn because it's about 4 miles south of the Devil's Arrows. So does it have any significance? The only picture I could find of it was this one here, and you can see there's a house there. So my guess is that it's at least twice as high as the house. It's probably a bit truncated off the top there. So it's probably about 60 foot high. And this was the map I found, so that's not the same house, by the way.
No.
So that's where the hill is. Now, what's happened since is that somebody's bunged. So that was the Great North Road. Somebody's bunged dual carriageway right through the middle of the thing. So it's very difficult to find exactly where it is. But from a bigger map of that, I got it down to within a few feet, I think.
Right.
So Claro Hill was an ancient and revered place long before the Vikings.
Have they put Vikings in there because of the name Claro? Is that meant to be a Danish name?
That's the reference at the bottom.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So as I say, I've approximated its location from old maps. So is it Yorkshire Salisbury Hill?
Yeah, certainly got that profile, hasn't it?
It has, hasn't it? And as I said, from the pic, it's probably about 60 foot high, so it's not as big as Salisbury Hill, obviously, but
still quite a mound, though.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's put a lot of work into
it. Yeah.
So, as I say, I think it's part of the entire design. I don't know why. Why would you have an earth mound, a stack of henges, and some stones? Right, so the big stone, Rudstone monolith. It's the largest monolith in Britain, so it's 25 feet tall, at least 40 tons. It's reputed to be as long underground as it is above. Well, whether that's just a tale. You don't know. Do you? As I said, it's a very ancient site. Now, Rudstone is known for quite a few things, actually. So it's part of the what's called the Newton Wall-Newton Triangle, which is reputed for fairies and werewolves, zombies and dragons. A meteorite fell there, and 5 ley lines go through it. So the gypsy race is it's in a chalk area. So typical of chalk areas, you have vanishing rivers, and it's supposed to flow to signify disasters are going to occur. So it flowed a lot in the Napoleonic period and in the English Civil War of the late 1100s, and just before the First World War. So there's a tale that if you've listened to the fairies episodes on Snake Brothers, there's a tale that's told about someone walking past a mound, and there were some fairies drinking and wanting to share the drink.
Yeah.
And the guy managed to steal the chalice and ran away with it. And the tale is that it got passed to the King of Scotland. Now that mound is Doubleby Hill, which you'll see on the next picture, actually. So the mound is certainly there. Tales of werewolves, as I said before, the wolves, they still gave a bounty for wolf heads in up to 250 years ago in this area. So there were a lot of wolves around there.
Oh, golly.
But there are tales that people still see phantom wolves. As far as I can tell, the original stories of living dead were written by a monk in the late 1100s, and he came from this area. So he wrote about zombies and people rising from their graves and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And there's a fun story that Shannon tells about the dragon on that lived near Filey. Filey's this bit up here.
Yeah.
Who the dragon was a real pain to the locals, chased the girls, that sort of thing. Might have been an old man, actually. Anyway, parking is a sort of oat cake made with sugar and you know what treacle is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all mixed together and baked, and it's really sticky. So the tale is that someone gave the dragon parking, and it stuck its teeth together, and they then managed to kill it and dump its body off Farley Bridge.
I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah, next time I come across a dragon.
Yeah.
So, but if you're interested in folk tales, the Newton Wall Triangle might be of interest to you.
That's great. I like that.
So, within the Rudstone area, there are 4 surfaces and 2 henges, both of them just to the north, which we've seen on that other picture. So, here are the surfaces in white. I can't pick up any rail alignments from those, just funny angles. Don't know what they are, and I don't think anyone else does either. So the 2 henges that we've already seen, there's Paddock Hill here and Maiden's Grave there. There's a long barrow there, and that's Willie Howe where the fairies are. Now, the Rudstone monolith is exactly east of the Devil's Arrows North Stone. It's within 6 feet.
Oh, God. Sure, it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
So, like the Devil's Arrows, Rudstone is 60% of the angular distance from the equator to the pole. It's 10% of the Earth's circumference from the North Pole. It has this winter solstice at 30 degrees and the lunar standstill at 45 degrees. So, all the same things. So, if I draw a line from the Devil's Arrows to Rudstone, it's 44 miles long, and if we assume that instead of going to the northern stone, it went to the centre, which, if you remember, I did say we don't really know where the centre is, but it's less than 200 feet out, if that was what the intention was. But now that I have done a bit more work on alignments and such like, I actually think that because the stones represent stars, there might have been some significance in making it line up with the northern stone rather than the central one. I don't know what that significance is, but it might have done. So we can say that Rudstone is an equinoctial marker for the Yorkshire complex. Couldn't see it from there, even if you lit a bloody big fire at Rudstone, you'd never see it. But it is right on the line of the rising sun on the equinox. Right, Yarnborough Henge, which we mentioned on that previous slide, it's no more than a crop mark now. That's a picture of it. So this is 23.4 miles west of the Devil's Arrows. And you might say, why am I mentioning it? Well, if I now draw a line from Yarnborough, it passes almost 1,000 feet from the Devil's Arrows to the south. Also misses those other monuments, but once again, it's very close. So why does it miss the Devil's Arrows? And it misses because of the equinox sunset. So if I draw a line from the Devil's Arrows to Yarnbury, this is the wrong way around, actually. The Devil's Arrows is there and there. So this is the line of sight from the Devil's Arrows. And you can see that it tops out at that hill.
Yeah, you got high.
I've looked at that hill, I can't find any markers on it. So the angle from the Devil's Arrows to Yarnborough is 268.7 degrees. And the observable high point is 250 meters higher, and it's 17.8 kilometers away. And that gives an angle from the Devil's Arrows of 0.8 of a degree. So because of those hills, the sunset and the equinox is actually on that exact line. So Yarnbury is an equinoctial marker for the Devil's Arrows as well.
I love how pragmatic these people are as well. You know, it's not just to do with how precise it is on paper, whether they even use bloody paper or not, but it's also the practicality of how it works on the ground as well. It's still very much built into it. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, nice.
Now, if you remember, I did say that the Devil's Arrows don't have any astronomical alignments that I can see that are sort of close enough to be able to see the object rising and setting above a marker. But it does have a number that are distant from it. So we've seen two of them here. So Rudstone and Yarnborough. And there's another one that is even more interesting later on, but not for today. So that's the sunset. So it's coming down from, sun always comes down from the south or rises towards the south. And if you could read that, you'd see it's 268.7, and at that point it's 1 degree above the horizon. So it'd just be cutting the horizon.
Nice.
So we can say that these equinoctial markers don't have to be visible from the observing site. In some cases, the marker is near enough so that if you lit a fire there, you'd be able to see it, but that's not the case with Rudstone or Yarnbury. So does it mean that the lines of the markers have some other significance? Well, I don't know, and I've not found out. So now things get a bit strange. Hugh Newman and others claim that they've found evidence of measurements of a metre. Now, a metre is 1/40,000 of the Earth's circumference. We know that they knew what the Earth's circumference was from the previous work, so that's not a surprise. A metre is also about as close as you can get to a unit of measure that fits the human body, so it's just over 3 feet.
Yeah.
So if you were going to use something on the Earth's, based on the Earth's size, something of 1/40,000th would make sense.
Yeah.
So the distance from Yarnbury to Rudstone is 108 kilometres. The relative size of the Sun and the Moon and their distance from the Earth are related by a factor of 108, and it's also 1.5 degrees of precession. So you've probably seen this before, but these numbers are exact. But so 108 Earths go in the Sun, 108 moons go between the Earth and the Moon, 108 suns between the Sun and the Earth.
432,000 miles again as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant.
The distance from the Devil's Arrows to Rudstone is 70.74 kilometres. Now, we think that 1 degree of precession is 71.66 years. But if you look at the Indian texts, they had the great year as being 25,461 years. And if you take that, you get almost exactly the figure that we see there, 70.7 something.
Golly.
I thought I'd worked it out here, but I haven't. So. But it is almost exactly. It's about 70.7.
So working from the same hymn sheet there. You think in India and in Yorkshire.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That's crazy.
Now, might all be coincidence. But the number of coincidences are beginning to build up on all of this. So could the site have been built to reference the size of the Earth and the Sun and the rate of precession? Maybe. Right, I think that finishes us for today. So I've got a bit of a summary. So today then we've looked at the reason why the angle from the Devil's Arrows to Thornbury is 141 degrees, and there's a possibility of it being several of those. My favourite by far is the Ripon Cathedral site, but I also like Aldebaran. The simplest by far is that they just laid it out from the stars and made a error of about 4 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm not at all convinced by the moon.
Right.
We also looked at whether the position of the Devil's Arrows is in any way significant, and I think it is. And then we had a brief look at the wider area of Yorkshire, which Rudstone, Yarnbury, and leading on to precession. Next episode, then, you've heard the book, The Old Straight Track, I guess. So I look at alignments and my view of them and possible alignments. I look at Arborough and Castlereagh. Arborough's
Nice.
quite interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
looks nice.
And something I've called All the Devil's Works. People know that
Yeah, I'm in
I've
really
been
interested
interested in sites called after the devil,
in that.
and
Yes.
that's paid a few benefits.
Oh, where's the town? There's that town, isn't there, with the devil's ears? Anyway, your topic. Sorry.
No, but that's the thing, is that you start thinking about these places called devils, and quite a few crop up, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. There's a lot of
I can think of a few now. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's a really
Yeah,
it's a really good.
I won't spoil what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I won't spoil
My
what you're going to
comments.
say either. Sorry.
It's exciting. It's exciting. Great, thanks for that, mate. That was great.
Okay, and that's it.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
Nice.
Thanks,
Pinch that
Molly.
picture. I give my thanks to Mr. Dixon or Mrs. Dixon or whoever it is.
No, yeah, that's a nice one they got there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. I'd love to see. I like the way you said you find a church by the monolith. There isn't a monolith by the church.
Yeah.
But there's a church by the monolith. Yeah.
Well, the church obviously came.
Yeah, it came later. Absolutely. Yeah.
But
no one wanted to move that rock, did they?
No.
I suppose they could have built it into the wall, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, good. It's absolutely. I'd love to see that one. I'd love
Yeah.
to see that. It's
Yeah, it's enormous. I
yeah.
mean, one thing I didn't say actually was, you know, that one of Ripon Cathedral Tower with the solstice lines drawn on it. And I got that. I got to look at that from watching one of Randall's things.
Oh, right. Okay.
And he was talking about, I think it was Chartres Cathedral, and how on the, I think it was the equinox, summer equinox. Sorry, not the summer equinox, summer solstice. That there's a hole in the glass window, the huge glass window at one end. There's a hole, and on the summer solstice, the sun shines directly through there and onto a specific stone on the floor. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. I wonder if there's anything similar at Ripon.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to tell, actually, just from looking at it from the air. I think that's the type of thing you could only tell from being there.
Absolutely.
But then I thought, well, the angles of that tower have got to be odd. There's something about them.
Yeah, nice. That's a great one. The fact that it's a little bit off east-west. We can say the medieval architects had a bit of an accident there. They just got it off. Yeah. But the fact that it makes the equinox alignment more accurate, I think, that's fascinating. That's great. Yeah, I think it's a cathedral in France. I think I remember this from the Builders of Ancient Mysteries films. There's cathedrals in France where you have like a door and a window next to each other.
Yeah.
And the window's exactly a royal cubit width, and the door is exactly a meter wide.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it's 300 years before Napoleon, and of course, I think Robert Bauval says that bit that's missing from the top of the Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
If you filled a sphere in that thing, it would have exactly a meter diameter to it. And I think the meter's represented elsewhere in the Great Pyramid as well.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Yeah. And then again, Howard Crowhurst was saying that the external circumference of the sarsen stones, so not obviously you could measure inside and outside, and that external circumference is exactly 100 meters.
Yeah, I can remember reading that.
Yeah, which is crazy. So yeah, that definitely exists elsewhere. Absolutely.
Nice.
But yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I mean, as I was saying to Adam, I think when you went there, Pete, I go through periods when I just think, this is impossible. They can't possibly have done all this. So
Yeah.
so I just go away from it for a while, but it lures you back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I
Yeah.
think when you get a hunch about something, there's something to. I'm just convinced now.
Yeah, that's
But
correct.
yeah, even if it's just for yourself, you know.
Hmm.
Well, I'm absolutely convinced about the star map. I'm probably 75% convinced about Ripon Cathedral. And I think it needs, I think it's good doing this because I think the ideas need to be out there for people to discuss and debate.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes back and says, "Oh, you made a mistake laying it out," or because it's spherical geometry, that can never work, or whatever. Well, if they do, they do, and at least we'll know. But
it seems like up to you, people were stuck on these lunar alignments and these, that sort of V shape you're showing us.
Yeah,
and they couldn't really get out of that wedge. Really, that was it. That was.
but they didn't. It's not their fault. They didn't have the technology to do it.
No, you're right.
And that's why I've given the idea a name.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe they'll teach it in archaeology courses one day. I doubt it. But there you go.
Let's see. In a few thousand years, maybe. That was great.
So
nice.
Thanks for that, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, we can stop there, I think.
Yeah.
Hi, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Me and Adam really did. I thought it was fantastic, and hopefully we'll have Martin back again to finish off. Maybe one or two more videos, but possibly not until after Christmas now. But we'll see, and we'll let you know. We're still hoping to put one together on Adam's little London trip. A few of the sites that you saw there. And then I think the last thing that's coming up is at Christmas. Hopefully we'll be contributing a programme for the Britain's Hidden History channel as a little Christmas special for the channel. So we'll see how that goes. But we're looking forward to that. And yeah, we hope you're enjoying what we're putting out so far. And if you've got any suggestions, always keep in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. All
Right.
right. Cheers, guys. Thanks very
See
much.
you next time.
Take care.